Hello, people. Welcome to Vibe Fashion's YouTube channel. Thank you for stopping by my channel. Today, we're going to be learning how to make this beautiful palazzo jumpsuit with keyhole on the waistline. You can see this is the back, and it also has a structured sleeve. It's a one sleeve palazzo. I hope this is what you're interested in learning. Kindly stay tuned while we get right into the tutorial. So this is the fabric we'll be using to achieve the palazzo jumpsuit. So here are the measurements we need. We need our shoulder measurement. Here is 16, the bust 37, the waist is 30, the hip is 40, the full length of my client is 60, and her round tie is 25. So it's just the round tie. We don't need the round knee and the round ankle. So to fold my fabric for this palazzo, this will depend on how wide you want the down part of this palazzo to be. I want the down part to be 22 inches wide, so I'm going to go ahead and fold my 22 inches first. So I folded my fabric, and here I have my 22 inches. You can see I have my 22 inches. So I didn't talk about the half length because it's a jumpsuit. So the upper part, the upper half length is 16 inches. So half length is 16 inches. So now in this case, we're going to be looking for our crotch depth because we're making a trouser. So we'll definitely have to get the crotch depth. So to get the crotch depth of my client, I'm going to be dividing her hip, which is 40 by 4. So once you divide this 40 by 4, it will give you 10 inches. So this is actually her crotch depth. But because we are making a palazzo jumpsuit, we need the crotch to drop. It needs to have that freeness around there. It needs to have that ease. So to this 10 inches, I'll be adding 3 inches. So that will bring me to 13 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark the crotch line at 13 inches. But first, another thing is this. You can see that I placed my fabric really wide, which is 22 inches. So now what I'll be doing is this. Now first, my 22 inches, I'll get the midpoint. Having marked my center line, this will actually be my green line. I'm going to go ahead and mark the waistline. So now, after doing that, the next thing I want to do is to come down by the crotch line. So the crotch line is 13 inches. Remember, it's 10, I added 3 inches. So here is my 13 inches. Okay, so now I have my crotch line here. I'll go up by 2 inches to get the hip line. Okay, so I haven't done that now. So you can see that my trouser, the material I folded is too wide, is wider than the normal measurement. So that is why I went ahead first to get my crotch, my the demarcation line, which is the center line. So now I'm going to enter the round tie measurement. Remember I said that the round tie of my client is 25 inches. So 25 divided by 2, that is 12.5. So now I'm going to divide this 12.5 by 2 here. So 12.5 divided by 2, that will give me 6 and quarter. So I'm going to place 6 and quarter on this side, and then here is my 12.5. So now we have established the fact that this is where our crotch is. So I'm going to draw a line now. So I'm going to draw a line taking me upwards this way, which is now the crotch line here. Okay, so and then also now, so this is it. So now on the hip line here, so I'm going to be using this side as the center front where I'm going to have the crotch depth. Okay, so having established this line now, the next thing I'm going to do is to enter the hip measurement on the hip line. The hip is 10 inches. That's 40 divided by 4. That's 10 inches. So here is my 10 inches here at this point. Okay, so this point now, I'm going to take this line this way upwards. Can you see that? So now on this line, you can see I took it down to the up to the waistline here. So on the waistline now, I'm going to enter quarter of the waist measurement of my client, which is which is 7.5 inches. So here is our 7.5 inches. So 7.5 inches. Remember, I'm not talking about any sewing allowance yet. So I'm just going to connect these points like this. And then I will create the curve. This is the round thigh measurement and this is the hip measurement. So now I want to create the crotch. That's the crotch curve, okay? So can you see what my trouser looks like here? So now, the next thing I want to do now is I'm going to be adding my sewing allowances here. So now I'll add 1 inch on this side. And then on this side also, I'm going to add ½ inch. And then here too, I'll come here and add ½ inch. So I'm just going to take this. Can you see that? So now having done that, we'll come down to mark the full length of this trouser. Remember that I said I'm working with length 60. So I'm going to be placing my tape on -16, which is the half length of my client. So from -16 now, I'll go ahead and mark on 60 inches. Then plus my hemming allowance of 2 inches. So I haven't marked that way now. So now I want to open up this trouser to achieve that wide leg that I want to have. So I'm going to be opening from the waist here. Take note of the way I'm placing my ruler. I'm going to be placing my ruler from this waistline to this 22 inches that I have here. So I'm just going to connect. So you can see that now from this 1 inch that I marked here, you can see how much I've added to the crotch measurement. It has increased the measurement already here because I need to open it up to meet this side. So all I need to do now is to use my ruler and then begin to connect from this side. See, I connected it from the waistline. I'm going to also come here now to this side, to the crotch side, and then I'll open up also like this. Can you see? So you can see my lines this way, and then you can also see it going this way. So now I have the wide leg palazzo that I want to have. So first you need to confirm your measurement. So from here now, what do I have here? I'm going to confirm from here, that's from the crotch line now here by the side, I have 34 inches. So this is 34 inches here. That's to the hemming allowance here. So you want to make sure that you have the same thing here too at the midpoint. Can you see that? So I want to have the same thing here too at the midpoint. You can see how it is coming down here. So I'm going to bring it down here. And then also on this side, of course, I still have the 34 inches. So now I'll go ahead and connect them this way. So you can see that the center, that's the midpoint now, had to drop more. So it's going to give it that curvy, flared look that you want to have. Can you see? So this is it for this. Okay, so now on the crotch line here, I'm going to come down by ½ of an inch, This is to eliminate bulge on the waist cover. But here in this case, this is really not going to show because we need it to really be full, and then we're going to have that keyhole on the waistline. So I'm just going to come here now and mark my half inch, you see, and then we'll go ahead and cut out the front piece. Then I'll show us how to draft our back piece. Okay, so can you see my front piece? I've cut it out. Can you see the flared look that we have at the down part? So ordinarily, usually we come here to take away whatever is the difference. Remember I measured here the distance from here to my 60 inches, and I have about 33 inches, and this side was about 34.5. I had to come here to increase it to that 34.5 because I really want this to touch the ground. So that is why I had to increase it this way. But if you don't want yours to be increased, all you need to do is take the measurement from this crotch line here to this point, which is 33 inches. You have to bring back the same measurement here as that 33 inches, and then cut out your excess. So but in my case, I want it this long, that's why I'm leaving it that way. Okay, so I'm going to place my fabric for the back piece. So for the back crotch now, having placed my fabric, and I came down by half inch on the crotch line. So I'm going to be extending the back crotch by 2 inches. So here is my 2 inches. So for the front, the back hip line, can you see? From here, I'm just going to come out by 1 inch. For the back crotch, I came out by 2 inches. The hip here, I came out by 1 inch. So here on the waistline, I'm also going to come out by 1 inch. And this 1 inch will serve as my zip allowance for the back. So I'm just going to use my curve to connect this. So this will serve as my zip allowance. So on this part, I'll go up by 1.5. This is because we have our butt at the back. So this is quite, the butt is more outward. So I'm just going to go up by 1.5 from this waistline here. So I haven't done that. I'm going to slant it back to meet this measurement. So take note that the back, all I did was to just add 1 inch here. Remember that the front, we have already added half inch here on this side and 1 inch on this side. All I did was to just add 1 inch, which is going to serve as my zip allowance. You don't want this back to bulge, or you don't want that bulginess around there, because we're going to be fixing our zip. So that is why I have just 1 inch. So I've not added anything here, so that the back sits really flat. So, and you can see here I added 1 inch for ease around the hip line, and then here I came out by 2 inches for the crotch, because this is where the butt right is. So I'm going to go ahead and then blend it into this line. Did you see that? So I'm just blending it into the line. So the back of this palazzo is really, really simple. So I'm going to be cutting out the back piece. You can see that it's blended into this line. And you can see that this side, I didn't add anything to it. So I'm just going to cut here now from the waistline. I see that the waist is slanted back into the side front. I see I've cut out my back piece. I see the back crotch line is longer than the front, but you can see that they are all matching up at the side. So you can see that the back crotch is deeper. This is because of the butt. You just want to be very comfortable, and then this dress, you want it to come out well. So you can see also here that everywhere is well blended. So the upper part is just going to be a basic bodice. So I'm just going to show us how to quickly do that. So I've gone ahead to fold my fabric for the front piece. Like I said, it's just the basic bodice. So now I'll mark 3 inches. Here is my shoulder line already, which is the starting line. I'll mark 3 inches, and then I'll go ahead and mark half of the shoulder measurement of my client, which is 8 inches. So on this 8 inches, I will come down by 1 inch to create the shoulder slant. Okay, so having done that, the next thing I want to do is to enter her armhole measurement, which is going to be the chest line. Her armhole is 7.5. Now I'm entering half of her shoulder measurement. The shoulder measurement is 16 inches. I'm not adding half inch for joining our sleeve because this outfit, one side is sleeveless and the other side you can see that is hanging inward. So that is why I'm using the exact shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches here, and I'm bringing the same 8 inches to this point. So having done this, now the next point I want to mark is her half length. Her half length is 16 inches. I'll be adding 1 inch to that half length. Remember that we are making a jumpsuit, so I need the half length to come lower than it's supposed to be. So that's why I'm adding 1 inch here. So that's 17 inches. So plus half inch for joining the down part. So when you're making a jumpsuit, you just need to make your half length a little lower. That is just by 1 inch. This is so that it doesn't, your trouser or the palazzo, it can't even happen in this case because we came down at the crotch by 3 inches. So now I have the waistline. So on this chest line here, I'll enter quarter of the bust measurement, which is 9 inches. And then I'll add my sewing allowance here. On this part, I'll be using 2 inches. So you can decide to use 1 inch like we did for the trouser. So divided by 4 is 7.5 plus 2 inches. Then I'll go ahead to connect it this way. Can you see? So I'll get the midpoint of the armhole here, which is 3 3/4 here. Haven't got the midpoint, I'll come in by 3/4 of an inch, and then I'll slant it back to the shoulder tip like this. And then I'll curve my armhole. So remember I said that this outfit is more like a sleeveless. One side is sleeveless, the other side is that it's not really a basic sleeve. It's just, I'm going to just create a structured sleeve and hang it on top of that place. So that is why I didn't add my half inch to that, to this measurement. So by the time I turn this one of the armhole with half inch, of course it will still reduce it. Remember that the shoulder is 16 inches, that's 8, half of it is 8. So by the time I use half inch to sew inwards, it will bring me in to 7.5, and then the other side of the sleeve also will bring me in. So for this armhole, I'm just going to go a little higher. The actual armhole is 7.5, but you can see I went a little higher. This is because you're not going to be attaching a basic sleeve. So what am I trying to say? That I am reducing my armhole measurement. Instead of using our 7.5, I'm going to be using 6.5 around this side. So at the end of the day, that will give me 7 inches. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. So let's cut. Instead of cutting on this line, I'll be cutting on this upper line. So can you see that? So this is so that the armhole is a little higher and it doesn't expose the armpit. So, and then we'll come here and cut shoulder slant. So can you see that the armhole is smaller than it's supposed to be? This is where the original armhole was, but you can see I went up and then created this. So now we'll place to cut our back. The back half length is 15 inches. So here you can see that I increased this to 17 inches plus half inch for joining. That's 17.5. So for the back, I'm going to be using a length of 15 7.5. So sorry, I'm going to be using a length of 16 inches, which is a difference of 1 inch. So here I have a total of 17.5. So if I'm using 16 at the back, that's I'm bringing the waist, the half length down by extra 1 inch. So by the time I add half inch for joining, that will bring me to 16.5. So this is my zip allowance, 1 inch, like I added for the trouser. So first I'm going to mark 3 inches. You can see that my tape is starting from away from the zip allowance. And then I'll go ahead to mark my 8 inches. So on these 8 inches, I'll come down by 1 inch, just like I did for the front. Bring down the armhole measurement. So as it is that I've already explained why I went up in front, that's by reducing the, okay, let's just still go ahead and mark on the 7 inches, 7.5 inches there. So here's our 7.5 inches. So we'll get the midpoint of the armhole also by folding over like this. And then we'll come in by half of an inch here. So I haven't come in by half of an inch. We're going to mark the bust measurement. Quarter of the bust measurement is 9 inches. So, and then we'll add 2 inches. So here's our 2 inches. So now, on this part, we're just going to curve the armhole this way. So after curving this way, we can see the actual armhole if we're going to make a basic dress that has a normal sleeve. So here now, I'm going to go up by 1 inch. And then I'll curve this armhole again. This is just to avoid gaping around the armhole. That you don't want the person's armpit to show. Can you see that? So now we'll come to the waistline. So the waist is half of the waist measurement is 7.5. So I'll mark my 7.5 here and then I'll enter my 2 inches. So for the back, I want this back. I just like the front. I didn't add that. I'm not going to be adding that to this jumpsuit. So now this the zip allowance I have here. This is what we're going to be doing to take care of it, to eliminate bulge. So you can see what I have here. So I've connected from the waist to the bust line. So now the zip allowance here, I'm going to come here and eliminate this 1 inch. This is because I want the back to really be flat. So this 1 inch I have here, I'll be transferring it to this side. I want the back to really sit well. So can you see this 1 inch? I'm just going to slant it now to this. Remember that this is a palazzo jumpsuit, it's very free, so you don't want the back to gape and to bulge around here. So you can see I transferred my 1 inch zip allowance to this side. So at the end of the day, my measurement is still intact. So can you see? So now I'm going to go ahead and cut out this back piece. So now you can see I have my front piece and my back piece. So now we're going to cut our neckline. So for the neckline, I'll be using a neck width of 5 inches for both front and back. You can see at this point, I'm going to be left with 3 inches. So by the time I turn the neckline with half inch and then the armhole at that point, I'll be left with 2 inches. So I need the shoulder, that's the what is left of the neckline, to be really small. The neck depth I'm using is a neck depth of 3.5 inches for both front and back. So you can see that the neckline is quite wide. This is a canoe neckline or a boat neckline as some call it. So I'm cutting for both front and back together. So I'm done cutting the neckline. Can you see? This is the front piece. And see how the neckline is wide. So the wider your neckline, the higher it should be. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut out my facing, and then I'll show us how to create the keyhole on the waistline. So I've cut my facing. So this is the facing for the front. Can you see? This is the facing for the front. I made sure that the facing got to the armhole. This is because one side is sleeveless and the other side has a sleeve. So we use it to turn the armhole here. I did the same thing too for the back. So this is our back. And these are the facings too. So you can see it got to the armhole. So the same thing is here also. So now we're going to keep this aside so that we can cut our sleeve. My sleeve, this is what I have left of my fabric. I'll be using this part as the lining for it. So I'm going to fold it over like this because we'll be gathering that part. So this is going to be the upper part and this will be the down part. Okay, so now I'm going to just curve it to give like that shape of the cap of our sleeve. Can you see that? Just a little curve, and then I'm going to come here now and curve it to this point. So basically this is what I'm trying to say. So this, I'm going to just give it that slight curve, that angle that our sleeve usually have. Can you see? And then I'm just going to take it this way. I'm going to gather it, so it needs to be just going to exhaust everything I have here. So can you see? So this is what I have. So by the time I gather it, it will give me that stand that I want. So I'm just going to place it on my leftover fabric and cut the same thing that will serve as the lining. I'll be applying gum stay on one of them. The one that will serve as the lining will have gum stay. So for the sewing part, this is my back pieces together. I've sewn here. This is the crotch, the back crotch. But I had to sew about 7.5 inches for the crotch. Can you see that? So after sewing them together, I went ahead to fix the upper bodies. So you see I've joined them and I've also woven. This is the upper part and this is the upper part of this side. So the next thing I did was to fix my zipper, that the half cuts are lined. It's very important to make sure that your half cut aligns. So having done that, after fixing my zipper, the next thing I went ahead to do was to fix my facing. So let me open this. So can you see, after sewing my zipper, I placed my facing on the right side and then I sewed the neckline. Can you see? So the next thing I'm going to do is to make sure to weave this facing. You can see it's fraying, so I'll weave it and then sew this part down. This is, I'm going to be sewing very close to the zipper. This is to neatly finish off the zipper part. So now I have my front pieces joined together. The trouser part has been joined together on the crotch and I've also joined the basic bodies on the waistline. So now this is me folding over the basic bodies on top of the trouser part, and that is my center line, which is the crotch line. So I've just marked that point there. The keyhole, I'll be having the keyhole on the left side. So I haven't marked the center line there. From that center line, I will go in by 1 inch. That's, I'll move away from the center line by 1 inch. So that's what I'm marking right away. Okay, as you can see. So from that point now, from my 1 inch point, I'm going to be marking 3.5 inches. So 3.5 inches. Then I'll get the midpoint of the 3.5 inches and mark 1 inch. So from that point, I will go up. So now this is the midpoint now I'm getting. I went up by 1 inch. So I'm just going to curve it to create a half circle, just an oval shape there. So I'm going to curve it and then go ahead and cut it out. So you want to just make sure that you don't make this hole too big around there. Remember, it's on the stomach area. So this is me just trying to curve it nicely. Then I'll bring in my scissors and cut it out. So now we have our oval shape. Okay, can you see that? So now the next thing I'm going to do is to cut a facing for that side. Of course, we need a facing. We can't leave it that way. So I'm going to bring in my leftover fabric to cut out my facing. So I've placed my leftover fabric on the table, as you can see, and it is on fold. I've ironed it properly. So all I need to do is to trace out the shape I have on the leftover fabric, which is under. So you just want to make sure to place it correctly before you go ahead and cut it out. So I've cut out my facing. I'm going to be placing my facing on the right side, but first I'm going to resew the waistline. This is because I've cut my stitch out, or I've cut some part of the stitch, so this can actually make it loose. So you don't want to have that issue. So you just need to sew so that you can secure your stitch. Okay, so here I'll place my facing on the right side, and then I'll sew it round by 1/2 inch, and then weave the rough part, that's the other part, the outer part, and then I'll come back and show us. So I'm done sewing the keyhole round, and then I went ahead to notch my seam allowance. This is to allow it relax well so that I can press it, and this is what it looks like on the front side. Okay, so now the next thing to do is for me to measure what I have round the hole, and that measurement I got 12 inches. So now that I have my, so you can see how I'm measuring it round. So that's 12 inches. I cut my elastic, my 1/2 inch elastic of 7 inches. The hole I have there, or the opening I have there, is 12 inches wide, and then I cut an elastic of 7 inches. So 1 inch will be for my sewing, that's to sew the elastic together, 1/2 inch on the left and 1/2 inch on the right. So by the time I've sewn on 1 inch, I'll be left with 6 inches, which is exactly half of the circle or of the keyhole I have there. Okay, so now I'm going to mark 1 inch round that hole. That's after my seam line. I'm going to mark 1 inch round. I'm just creating a casing for my elastic. That's the space I'll be inserting my elastic. So I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and sew round on that 1 inch and leave a tiny space that I'll be using to insert the elastic into it. So I'll do that quickly and come back and show us. So I'm done stitching on my 1 inch round, and I left the space for inserting the elastic into it. So I fixed my elastic to a safety pin. So now I'm going to insert it into the casing. So I'm going to make sure to pin my elastic when it is almost, when I have like 2 inches left, so that the elastic doesn't go into the hole completely. I'll just get my safety pin and pin it there, or my office pin, sorry, and pin it there. Then I'll insert it and bring it out from the same hole. So now my elastic is out, so I'm just going to overlap 1/2 inch on 1/2 inch and then stitch it down. So I'm done stitching down my
After inserting my
elastic,
elastic,
and then I
can you
also
see?
closed up the hole
This
I
is what I
left. This
have
is what it looks like
on
on
the
the
wrong
wrong side,
side, and
and
this is
this
what
is
we
what
have
we
on the
have on
right
the right
side.
side. It came
For
out really
the
beautiful.
shoulder,
So now the
remember
next
that
thing I
one
want to
shoulder
do is to
is
notch
one
my
shoulder is
armhole. I've
sleeveless.
gone ahead to
So you can
sew the
see
side that
I
will be the
sewed
sleeveless
the
side. That's I
armhole
sewed the facing
from
on the
the
wrong
wrong
side.
side.
So
So
now
all
I'll
I
go
need to
ahead
do
and
is need to do
notch
is to notch it rather.
the armhole.
Okay,
I'm going to repeat the same
can you
thing, but
see
I've
that?
done the
So
same
after
thing already
sewing,
for the back
I'm
piece.
going to
Then
press
I'll
it
show us how to
open
join
very
the
well.
shoulders of the part that is going to be sleeveless. This
So
part
I'll
is
go
the part
ahead
that's
and
going to be
press
sleeveless. That's
it
why I
well.
completely turned the armhole with my facing. So I want to make sure to press this side
Same
well
way
so
I
that it
sewed the front,
relaxes well.
and I've also gone ahead
Okay,
to press it.
so having done the same
So
thing for the
now I'm
back,
going to
now I'll
place
bring over the
the
front piece
front.
and I'll place them
going
lining
to place the
facing
front
lining.
on top
That's
of the
facing lining. The
back.
facing is now the
So you
lining,
want to
of
make
course.
sure that these
And you
two
see the
are
two shoulders,
equal.
you want to make sure that they are equal. This is me just trimming out the parts that are
Okay, so the
fraying.
two shoulders, you want to make sure that
So
they are
now what
equal.
I'll be doing, I'm going to
So
wear the
now I have not
front
gotten this and they
piece
are equal.
over the back
So I'm going
piece.
to
The
open up
back piece
from
is
the
going to
front
remain
now.
exactly as it is. So the
Take
front
note
piece is
that
the
the
one I'm
back
turning inside
is
out
laying
so that I
like
can
this.
wear it
So I'm
over
going to
the
open up
shoulder
the
of the back
front now
piece,
like this.
making sure that the facing, that's the lining, is
So the
facing the
front
lining
now,
and the main
this
fabric
is
is
the side
facing
with the lining,
the
and
main
that's the facing,
fabric.
and
I
this is
hope
the
you
side
understand
with
what
the
I'm
main
trying to say.
fabric.
If you
So
mix
I
this
will wear
up,
it
it will
over
bring
them
the
like
front
this.
to the back, or it will bring the wrong side to the front. So you don't want to make that mistake. So just make sure that your two facings, that's the back facing and the front facing, are on the same side, and the main basic bodies, they are both on the same side. I'm just going to pin my shoulders together, as you can see me doing, and then I'll take to my sewing machine and sew them on half inch together. So all four of them together on half inch, then I'll bring it back and show us what we have. So I'm done joining the shoulders together, and see, and then I went ahead to notch the edges so that it relaxes well. So this is it. It's out, everything is aligned and is sitting really nice. So I'm just going to join the second shoulder together, the regular way we join our shoulders, because this one is going to have sleeve, it's not sleeveless. Okay, so I'll join it, fix my sleeve, shape it on my sewing allowance, hem the down part, and then I'll show us the final outcome. Shoulders together, you see. I also went ahead to fix the sleeve. For this sleeve, all I did was to gather the sleeve. Remember the shape I cut was not a normal, it was a curved sleeve, so that's why you can see it sliding. So I gathered it to the armhole, and then I stitched together and made sure to weave it so that it is neat. So our area of concentration here is on the palazzo. So for the palazzo down part, I went ahead to stitch the inseam on half inch, and then the sides you can see also that I stitched it on half inch also. And you can see I went ahead to hem the down part. So we are basically done with our palazzo, and it came out really nice. I know you have learned a thing or two from this video. If you have, please kindly give me a thumbs up, share this video with your friends, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel. So I'm going to be wearing this palazzo on this jumpsuit on the mannequin so that we see what it looks like. So finally, we're done with our palazzo jumpsuit, and the result is beautiful. It really came out really nice. I love the outcome. I hope you love it too. Can you see the keyhole? It's so portable, very fine. And then the sleeve, can you see how it's standing? So this is just, it depends on your preference. You can actually bring it down. If you want it to stand the way I made mine stand, that's fine. So of course it's the gum stay that is helping it stand that way. Okay, and then the down part of our palazzo, can you see how wide the down part is? It's coming out really beautiful. So it's a wide leg palazzo. Can you see how beautiful it is? It's looking like a flare. If you don't look very well, you won't even know that it's a trouser, because there's a way the down part opens very much like a flare. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. That's like this video. Share this video with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and also put on your notification bell so that you get notified once I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.